Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the
Everybody
procedure,
stay calm.
everyone? What's the procedure?
Okay, we're trapped. Everyone for himself. Okay, let's go. Let's go.
What is the Christian's response to global panic? So how should Christians respond to seasons like we're in right now? Are we to buy more toilet paper? Probably not. Empty the shelves of all the grocery stores? By no means. You see, panic has a way of robbing us of our joy and our peace. And what panic does is it stirs two things inside of us: fear and anxiety. So let's talk about those things, yeah? Fear. Now there is a good fear and a bad fear. A good fear will save your life. And a bad fear, well, it'll destroy your life. And I promise y'all, somebody needs to tell that dude, whoever sings that "Fear's a Liar" song, that he's a liar. Because good fear is not a liar. Good fear will keep you from entering into a cage full of tigers, won't it? Hello? Lions, tigers, bears. Good fear. And fear has often been defined as a response to a known current threat. So one could say that what fear could do is rob you of your today. And so what that fear does inside of us is it wants us to have a higher view of our current situation and a diminished view on the sovereignty and power of God. And now what about anxiety? I think that anxiety is the cousin of fear, that bad cousin that nobody likes. It can also be defined as a fearful anticipation of the unknown. And here's how this can play itself out. Sometimes we get anxious whether or not our kid's gonna come home from his friend's house because our desire for them to come home is accompanied by fear that they may get into a car accident. We're anxious about whether or not we'll get the coronavirus or some other dreaded disease. We're anxious about what will happen to the economy if it collapses, or what will happen to our financial situation. But here's what the Bible would say about anxiety. Therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. I think in the end, what you could say is 10, 20,000 years from now, when you're standing when the King of Glory, looking back at all that you are afraid of right now in this season, kind of seem a little silly to you. Now that does not remove the weight of today's fears and anxiety, but it grants us this hope in God that He is in control of all things. So how should we respond to panic, to fears, to anxieties? First, remember the truths of God's word, that He'll give you wisdom, that you should stay in prayer, that God will use this bad situation for our good, and that not even a pandemic can separate you from the love of God. And you should even read these truths of His word over your fears and anxieties. How do we respond to panic? With peace. Because the world does not need any more people infecting it with more panic. So we show the world that we have a peace that only God can give us. Because ultimately that peace comes from knowing that, yes, God is in control. How do we deal with panic? With love for our neighbor. Y'all check on your neighbors, all right? Check on them folks down the street from you. Just show them some love. Even if you just pick up the phone or you just text them, just ask them if there's anything that you can do for them. Back a long time ago, when the bubonic plague was happening, Martin Luther wrote a letter in the middle of the bubonic plague, and the letter was entitled, "Whether or Not One Might Flee from a Deadly Plague." And in it he writes this: "No one should dare leave his neighbor unless there are others who will take care of the sick in their stead and nurse them. We are bound to each other in such a way that no one may forsake the other in his distress, but is obliged to assist and help him as he himself would like to be helped." So Martin Luther gives us an incredible example of how we are to love our neighbor. So as Christians, here's what this means. We don't jump ship, we stay on the ship in the middle of a crisis. Nor are you afraid.
I'm scared.
And she's not scared, and you shouldn't be scared either. of subscribing to this channel. So go ahead and press that subscribe button and like this video, share it with all them folks around you. Practice that physical social distancing and also practice that social media closeness. This is unacceptable social distancing.